Donald Trump is a big turn-off to a lot of people. But on the other hand, there are those that can't wait to hear what Mr. Trump has to say. They seem not to have enough of him. On the other side, there are those that believe Kamala Harris is the real deal. But the Trump supporters don't want to see Kamala Harris. These people hold divergent views, but there's one thing that they all seem to agree on. They agree on the fact that they hate sales and salespeople. Salespeople are given names. They are crooks, they are cheats, they are manipulative, all sorts of names. And you as a consumer, you might have also experienced one of those. But the truth still remains. You have to be good at selling if you are to win in the game of life. So how then should we become good at sales? I want to share with you a few strategies that you need to implement in order for you to become good at sales. Well, my name is Joseph Mcheriwa, and I help organizations and individuals develop their selling skills so that they can sell more and get better results. So, what should you do in order for you to become good at sales? I want to share with you first the change that you need to make and the strategies that you can then implement to become a good salesperson. The change that you have to make is the change of mindset. A lot of people, they tend to attach themselves with the sale or with their products. When their product is rejected, they take it personally. They feel like they have been rejected, and that's why they hate sales. But you need to understand this. When a prospect doesn't buy your product, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are rejecting you. There are various reasons as to why prospects don't buy. In fact, in network marketing, they teach that the circumstances of people change after every 6 months. So if somebody doesn't buy today, go and visit them again after 6 months. Most likely you'll find their circumstances have changed. They might not need your product today, but they may need it in the future. So if you have that kind of understanding, when the prospect doesn't buy today, it doesn't mean that's the end of the road for you. So do not attach yourself with the product. There are various reasons why they cannot buy today. They might also not have a budget. They might not be financially stable at the moment to be able to purchase your product. Or your product is not adequately addressing the challenge that they are currently facing. So there are various reasons that cause clients to not buy from you today. But if you are not well informed, you just take it personally and you say, I'm not cut out for sales, and you quit too early. Then as you change your mindset, something that you need to understand. I remember one day listening to a sales trainer who was saying that talking about your product won't win the sale. So I was like, what is he saying? If talking about my product will not win me the sale, so what should I talk about? Because I was used to talking about my product. I actually used to believe that the more I talk about my product, the more I talk about the intricacies of the product, the more I'm getting the client to buy. Because I thought the more the information that I give to the client, the more they are likely to buy. And guess what? The opposite is true. That salesperson was correct. Talking about your product won't win the sale. So what guarantees the sale is talking about the prospect. What is the prospect's situation? What is the prospect's challenge? What is the prospect's dream? Where do they want to get to? Those are the things that are important for the client and not your product. So your product is actually a vehicle that gets the prospect to get where they want to get to. So it's like when you want to fly from Africa to Europe, it's generally about 10, 11 hours. But when you want to go to Europe, you are not interested in staying in the plane for that long. What are you interested in? You are interested in destination. So if you are a salesperson and you sell the airline, that is not what the client wants. The client wants the destination. So you have to sell the destination. How do you take the client from this point to that point? The client is basically saying, please take me from point A to point B. So your product now becomes the vehicle that carries the prospect from this point to that point. So if you talk about the leg room of the airplane, how comfortable the airplane is, and the distance that the airplane is going to cover, the speed with which the airplane is going to travel, all that is not necessary, is not important for the prospect. The prospect just wants to know, how long is it going to take me from here to Europe? And that's it. So as a salesperson, those are the things that you should be focusing on. How am I going to transport my prospect from this point to that point? And your product is the vehicle. So, talking about your product will not win the sale. What wins the sale is the solution. that you are bringing to the prospect. So talk about solution. A little bit about your product, because it's the vehicle that you are going to use to bring the solution. I remember at one point when I was still selling insurance, I approached a prospect and I was sitting in front of him and I was talking about my insurance products, showing them how I understand the product in and out. But I could tell that the client was slowly switching off. Why? I was talking about my product. I was not talking about the prospect, getting to understand their pain points. Where do they want to go? What do they need? I was not talking about that. I was just talking about my product. And so when the prospects reject our offers, we tend to blame it on the prospect, or we think that our products are not good enough. It has nothing to do with your product. It has nothing to do with your services. It has nothing to do with your offer. It has everything to do with what you are emphasizing, or what you are talking about the most. So you can be good at arguing value, but if you cannot answer relevant questions, you will not be able to get the client to buy. I remember there's a video that I posted, which I would encourage you to watch, where I was saying sales is answering these 3 crucial questions. I encourage you to listen to that, because it will help you in terms of focusing on what it is that is relevant to the client. If you cannot answer the critical questions, you will not be able to make a good sale. Then you should also ensure that your product is valuable, to the extent that if you were to buy it yourself as a client, would you buy it? Do you believe in your product that much? Because there are a lot of people who sell things that they don't believe in. For instance, you see people selling drugs, but they themselves, they don't take drugs, and they urge their children never to touch drugs. And there are people who sell tobacco, but they themselves, they don't take tobacco. You have to sell a product that you believe in, which even yourself as a customer, you'll be able to buy. Then you should also understand, linked to the fact that talking about your product doesn't guarantee a sale, you should understand that we do not sell stuff, but we sell solutions. So find a way of connecting your product to the client's challenges. We do not sell stuff, we sell solutions. That is what is important to the client. So now, when you get in front of a prospect or a client, how do you get the conversation going such that the client will love to listen to you? You have to ask some questions, like this question: what motivated you to meet us? This will open up the conversation, and the client will start to talk about the reasons why they wanted you in their office in the first place. It has nothing to do with your product. It has nothing to do with what you are selling or your solution. You want to hear from the prospect, what is it that caused them to agree to meeting with you. Then you may also ask them again, what exactly are we trying to accomplish in this meeting? This will help your conversation to be focused on the client solutions. Because the prospect will not say, because we are interested in your products are the best in the market, we have heard that you've got the best. No, they will talk about themselves, their issues, their challenges, or their aspirations, which is what is helping you to then present to them products that are relevant to get them to where they want to get, or the solutions that are relevant for what they want to do. Then you also need to ask them, so where are you today and where do you want to be? Now, here you want to see the gap between where they currently are and where they aspire to get to. The bigger the gap, the more your solution is going to become relevant to the prospect. Then you may also need to ask them, what seems to be the problem and for how long have you had this problem? You see now, you are not saying, what is the problem? No, what seems to be the problem? Because if you say what is the problem, you are implying that it is the problem, but you are not sure of what it is, and even the prospect themselves might not be exactly sure of what it is. So you say, what seems to be the problem? And for how long have you had it? And now, as they answer that question, you can follow up with saying, and what have you tried to do in the past to resolve this problem? So this gives you adequate information in terms of addressing their challenges, because now you know for how long they've had the problem, and you know the other solutions that they've tried. And if you have one of those solutions, you no longer need to talk about those unless if the implementation was not right. So you see, you're just putting yourself in a position which makes it easy for you when you come to the closing of the sale. So you need to master this. It's not about personalizing the sales process. If the client doesn't buy, there are various reasons as to why they did not buy. but at the same time, make sure you have done the right thing in terms of asking relevant questions, talking about what's important to the client, showing them the solution that they need, and not focusing on the product. If you do that, I'm sure you'll be able to succeed as a salesperson, and your narrative will change from saying, I hate sales, to I love sales. Because with sales, you are helping people, because you are solution oriented. You are always bringing solutions to the prospect, and you are answering the relevant questions. Every time you meet a client has got questions, and you need to ask yourself, am I answering the relevant questions? Like I said, watch that video where I was talking about the 3 crucial questions that you need to answer, and you'll find that your sales journey will become smoother and smoother as you go along, and fill in your pocket in the process.